with the sun at my side, peeking in through the blinds. Didn't say you were coming over, but I'm down for the ride. I'm hopping in your four-wheel drive under sea blue skies. I'm feeling this vibe, wish I keep it going. Heading out of town and we got no doors. Just put the top down, we can keep it open. If I could go anywhere, I would stay right here. I would stay right here by your side. If you could go anywhere, I know you'd stay right here. 'Cause we're living in paradise. Getting close as you lay your head down on the sun-kissed skin. Maybe we could make it last forever. Freeze the time, take it in. I'm hopping in your four-wheel drive under sea blue skies. I'm feeling this vibe, wish I keep it going. Heading out of town and we got no doors. Just put the top down, we can keep it open. If I could go anywhere, I would stay right here. I would stay right here by your side. If you could go anywhere, I know you'd stay right here. 'Cause we're living in paradise. In paradise, oh, in paradise. You know I would stay right here in paradise. Waking up with the sun at my side, peeking in through the blinds. Didn't say you were coming over, but I'm down for the ride. I'm hopping in your four-wheel drive under sea blue skies. I'm feeling this vibe, wish I keep it going. Heading out of town and we got no doors. Just put the top down, we can keep it open. If I could go anywhere, I would stay right here. I would stay right here by your side. If you could go anywhere, I know you'd stay right here. 'Cause we're living in paradise. Living in paradise. Getting close as you lay your head down on the sun-kissed skin. Maybe we could make it last forever. Freeze the time, take it in. I'm hopping in your four-wheel drive under sea blue skies. I'm feeling this vibe, wish I keep it going. Heading out of town and we got no doors. Just put the top down, we can keep it open. If I could go anywhere, I would stay right here. I would stay right here by your side. with the sun.